decided that we're going to show you how to make my invented cookies. Well, maybe somebody out there has done them, but I actually came up with this recipe based on trial and error from some paleo recipes that I follow. Now for this recipe, we're going to make sugar-free, wheat-free cookie that contains oats and peanut butter. If there's any allergies in peanuts, obviously this is not the recipe for you. But our family really have enjoyed these, and this recipe came about by trial and error. Basically, there's a combination of flours that you can use and that I use. The mixture that I'm using today is a mixture of quinoa flour, which is kind of expensive. It's a real luxury to use this. If you can't afford or don't want to spend the money on quinoa flour, you can always try a spelt flour or oat flour or even garbanzo and fava bean flour. It yields a drier cookie, which you can compensate for by just adding more moisture and just experimenting with it, because it's actually kind of fun. In this recipe here, I've got approximately 1 cup of almond meal, which is basically almond flour, which is basically ground almonds, which you can either buy like this, or if you have a Vitamix like I have, or some kind of a grinder, you can grind your own, which is probably a lot cheaper. And about 1 cup of quinoa flour. Now these measurements are not precise. I basically usually baking is a very precise science, but in this particular recipe, what I found in it is if the mixture is too wet, I add a bit more dry, and if it's too dry, I just add a bit more wet, and every time I've tried them, they've come out really, really good. So our basic ingredients for this cookie recipe is 1 cup quinoa flour, 1 cup almond meal or almond flour, approximately 1 cup oatmeal, rolled oats, large flake oats. Again, it just depends on the quantities of how you want, what the consistency. When you get the dough going, you can kind of tell if it's too dry or if it's too wet. So I'll get this mixture going, and then we'll be back to show you the consistency of the batter. So we've mixed our almond meal and our quinoa flour together here, and I've just dumped approximately 1 cup of oats. This is just a trial first before I put the wet ingredients in. Now we're adding about 1/4 teaspoon of aluminum-free baking soda, and roughly a half of a teaspoon of, I like to use Himalayan sea salt. Himalayan sea salt is one of the purest salts left on the planet. It's not processed. You're obtaining all of your minerals in this product, so I use Himalayan salt for almost everything now. We just mix those dry ingredients together like this, and it's time to get a bowl together and mix our wet ingredients, starting with about a teaspoon or so. I like to use all organic ingredients. This is organic. Vanilla extract. So we're going to use about a teaspoon of that. This being about 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Roughly, I'm going to say about 1/3 of a cup or so, 1/4 of a cup to 1/3 of a cup of organic smooth peanut butter. Okay, for our wet mixture, we now have our peanut butter and our vanilla extract, to which I'm adding roughly 2 tablespoons of melted virgin coconut oil. Again, this recipe was developed just by trial and error. There's no sugar, nothing artificial. I don't believe in synthetic sweeteners. I think they're really bad for you. We're going to add now sweetening component, if I can find it, which is stevia extract. I like to add about 5 droppers or so of stevia liquid drops. There's 5 dropperfuls. And as you can see, I have a can of light coconut milk. You can use light coconut milk or you can use full fat coconut milk. I've used both, and there's really very little difference in the taste of the cookie. I basically judge the amounts based on the consistency of the batter. All of these measurements are approximate, and I'm just going to show you what the batter should look like to yield a moist tasting cookie. Roughly half of a can of the coconut milk, and I'm just incorporating the peanut butter, vanilla, stevia, and the coconut milk and the coconut oil together in this bowl. And you can see as I add it to the dry ingredients, I'll be able to tell right away whether it's too wet or too dry, and then I will adjust the ingredients accordingly. So here we go, we're going to add our wet ingredients to the dry, and we'll see what happens. It smells really, really good too. It's really nice to know that you're eating a cookie that's relatively healthy with no sugar, no wheat. It's just awesome to know that there are ways that you can still have a sweet treat and maintain a healthy lifestyle. So as you can see, I'm incorporating the wet to the dry. And you can see how it's developing into a rather moist dough right now. Now this dough is going to be really very, very sticky. And sometimes I'll add some chocolate chips to this recipe, and sometimes I won't. Today we're going to add Krista chocolate chips, which are all natural, no sugar added, and also no artificial sweeteners added. These are real chocolate chips that are sweetened with stevia. And the only drawback I find to this product in incorporating them into the batter is because of the coconut oils and the type of fat used, the chocolate chips actually do not adhere to the batter very well. They fall out of the batter. But if you're persistent and you want to dedicate a little bit of time to forming the cookie balls, to keeping the chocolate chips in there, they really do add a lot to flavor the cookie, and they're really just a lovely, nice, decadent treat. I like the consistency of this dough. You can see that it's slightly sticky. And I'll show you what I mean about the chocolate chips. We're going to add some of the chocolate chips to the mixture now. And if I was using a regular cookie mix, as you all probably know, and adding regular chocolate chips to it that were sugar sweetened, they would have no problem sticking to the batter. These ones have a little bit of an issue sticking. So we're going to add roughly about a quarter cup or so of chocolate chips. And you can just add as many as you want. It looks pretty good. I don't really have to adjust the wet to the dry in here, and it was just probably just trial and error. I've done this so many times now that I can kind of tell how much to use. But if this looked a little bit too wet, I would probably throw a little bit more oatmeal in, a little tiny bit more flours, a little bit more oatmeal, and just keep working the batter. If it was too dry, again, I would just pour a little tiny bit more coconut milk in to compensate for that. And now it's time to form our cookies onto our cookie sheet lined with parchment. And I like to form balls. And I just put them roughly a tablespoon and a half size balls onto the cookie tray. And I'll just go ahead and form these balls, and then I'll get back to you and show you what they look like when they come out of the oven. We're back and we're ready to press our cookie dough down. I'm making rather large size cookies today. I didn't quite yield 2 dozen because of just the size. But you want to just put your fork in a little bit of water and then just gently tamp these down, just like you would a peanut butter cookie, so that it doesn't stick. I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees. Convection works the best if you have a convection oven. And if not, no problems, it'll still work well anyways. Just the convection for baking seems to be good because it has a more even heat distribution and you get less burnt areas in your oven with that. So that's about how you want them to look before they go in the oven. And I'll just get this one formed. And in about 15 minutes, we're going to have a delicious cookie to have with a cup of tea. We're back to get our cookies in the oven, our preheated oven. There we go. So another nice thing about a convection oven is you can do 2 racks of cookies at the same time, whereas when you're just baking, you can only do 1 rack of cookies at a time. So we're going to set our timer for about 15 minutes. Anywhere, you can check them anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes, and if they look like they're getting golden brown, you can pull them out. My oven, 15 minutes is perfect. Every oven is slightly different. So I'll be back in 15 minutes to show you what the cookies look like. And here is our finished product, our beautiful oatmeal peanut butter chocolate chip cookie. We're back, and this is the finished product. My cookies are cool enough to take a bite of now, so we'll just have a taste to let you know. Really good. I hope you try this recipe. I hope you enjoy it, and stay tuned for a new recipe coming up. Thank you.